Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at some amusement park rides that got banned, and also they got banned because people died.
FUJIN RAIJIN 2, Expoland. Once one of Japan's premier amusement parks, Osaka's Expoland entertained visitors for decades until a tragic accident in 2007.
Okay, so we reacted to a few roller coasters or like rides from Japan in like my last week's video. Obviously something bad happened because this one ended up getting banned. I don't know why, but there's just something about amusement park rides that freaked me out.
Part of FUJIN RAIJIN 2, a standing coaster derailed, and a 19-year-old college student lost her life.
That's so sad, isn't it? Like, that poor 19-year-old probably didn't think that would be like the last thing she ever does. Things like that are the reason why I'm scared of them. Like, obviously there's not a high possibility you're gonna die, it's quite low. Like, there is still a possibility.
As well as the death, dozens more were injured and many required hospital treatment.
That's even worse. Like, Dan is bad enough, but I'm terrified of hospitals. Whenever I think of going to a hospital, you usually go there because you're close to death. You know, you come into life in a hospital and you leave life in one. If you go to hospital, you usually have to get something in your arm, and I couldn't do that. Absolutely not.
The cause for the crash? The ride had been neglected by the park for 15 years, and the axles eventually couldn't handle the load anymore since they had never been replaced.
So you're telling me that ride literally got neglected and it ended up with somebody dying? So basically that death easily could have been avoided.
Expoland was never able to recover from the accident since nobody wanted to go anymore, and less than 2 years later, in 2009, the entire park had shut for good.
I mean, obviously that's sad that like a park shut, but like to me that's like music to my ears. I love that. Amusement parks scare me. There's just something about them. I don't know what it is. It just is the fact that you can get injured whenever you're meant to be having fun.
VERRÜCKT, Schlitterbahn, Kansas City. This water slide was once the main attraction at Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City, even receiving awards and briefly being the world's tallest water slide.
Wait a minute, I think I know what this is. I think we watched this in a water slide video. If I'm correct, a young child got decapitated.
But that all changed after a horrific accident in 2016. A weight discrepancy on the raft led to a 10-year-old boy, Caleb Schwab, losing his head after the raft became airborne and struck a pole. Schwab was also the son of Scott Schwab, a Republican politician in Kansas. The ride's designers had criminal charges brought against them for second-degree murder.
Oh my god, so like they proper got sued. I mean, I don't really know if it's their fault that like it happened. It's more like the ride's fault, like the way it happened. But theoretically, actually it is their fault.
Though the case was thrown out of court, nobody rode VERRÜCKT again after the accident, and it has since been destroyed.
I mean, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to go onto a ride that a kid literally lost his head on. It's so sad and scary that like that happened. And to be honest, accidents like that have happened in quite a few amusement rides.
Perilous Plunge, Knott's Berry Farm. In 2001, the Perilous Plunge flume ride at Knott's Berry Farm in California caused a fatal accident just 1 year after it had opened in 2000. A woman somehow slipped from her restraints and fell to her death.
That is another fear. Like, I feel like this video is going to be me talking about my fears. But like, you know how you're like trapped into a roller coaster? Imagine if you just like fell out. There's been quite a few times where I've been in them and like it feels quite loose. Think of it, you could literally get sucked out.
In an accident that tarred the ride's reputation for years afterwards. The ride didn't immediately close, though it continued to be plagued with various technical issues for the next 11 years until it was finally shut down and dismantled in 2012.
So there was still problems for 10 years after a technical problem. If that doesn't scream do not get onto a ride, I don't know what will. I'm telling you, people who go on these rides are genuinely superhuman to me.
The park's attempts to make the ride safer just caused other problems in different areas. Luckily though, after the 2001 incident, nobody else lost their life.
I mean, yeah, that's good that nobody else died, but there was literally problems for 10 years. That sounds like a nightmare.
Mind Scrambler, Playland. The Mind Scrambler in Playland, New York claimed 2 lives during its tenure in the park, with the latter being that of a Playland employee who was working and had attended the park her whole life.
Oh my god, yeah, like, you know in some of them rides in amusement parks, like the spinny ones, what are the ones that like go around in circles but you're sat in like a wee bowl and it spins around loads? Think of it, people literally have to walk around them and spin you. Imagine if they got stuck in that, that would be so traumatic.
Gabriella Guerin was thrown off the ride when it was started by another employee who didn't follow the proper safety guidelines. Guerin was trying to help riders with their restraints at the time. Just 3 years earlier, a 7-year-old girl died in the same way. Those safety guidelines were put in place to stop anything like it from happening again.
Well, that's 2 deaths in the space of like 3 years. Something obviously isn't going right. Also, think of it, them people who like work there have so much power, like they know in their head that somebody could end up dying. Obviously, it's not like a high percentage, but it's still a possibility. I could not do that. Like things like that, they just freak me out.
It's not entirely clear why the rules weren't strictly followed, but the 2 deaths led to the Scrambler being shut for good.
Was that the ride that they were showing us there? I've literally been in them multiple times in the UK. Oh my god, maybe they should be banned over here as well.
Derby Racer, Revere Beach. Wooden roller coasters technically aren't more dangerous than modern steel ones. That is, as long as they're properly looked after. Many of them aren't, and this has led to lots of nasty accidents over the years, including 2 horrific wooden roller coaster crashes at Revere Beach in Boston.
If I had to go onto any roller coaster, which I probably wouldn't, it would absolutely not be a wooden one. I would go on a metal one because, like, to me, wood would literally fall apart. Obviously, metal can become, like, really rusty, but wood can literally rot from the inside. It's so scary that people literally used to ride wooden roller coasters.
Possibly the most famous dangerous coaster was Derby Racer, which caused no less than 5 deaths in separate incidents over the years where people were thrown from the trains.
And why was it still allowed to be open? 5 deaths over the years? Is that not, like, crazy? People are getting thrown from it. Like, what is this roller coaster doing? This is why I'm scared of them. Like, so far in this video, I think at least 10 people have died. Is that not traumatic?
It was ultimately demolished in 1936. Revere Beach also hosted Lightning, which was only in operation for 6 years and didn't even make it 2 days before killing a park goer. It was shut in 1933.
Okay, I was thinking I was in like the 1980s. It was in the 1930s. That makes a lot of sense because like things back then were just not safe. Somebody died apparently in a roller coaster within like the space of like 2 days. Damn, that was nearly 100 years ago. That's crazy.
Thunder River Rapids Ride, Dreamworld. As one of the most common theme park rides in the world, river rapids are widely regarded as safe and good fun for people of all ages. However, their reputation was tarnished in 2016 after a gruesome accident at Dreamworld in Australia.
I don't even want to know what happened. Like, I don't know how many people died. I hope it's not more than one. But I've got a feeling somebody got flung up into the air, got stuck. That is like getting stuck in an elevator. It's terrifying.
One of the rides have sustained some sort of malfunction, causing 2 people to be ejected from a ride.
Carrying a total of 6, the raft crashed into another and flipped over. 4 died in all.
But how does that happen? Like, that is... oh god. I must seem like such a Karen and I don't want to freak you guys out, but it's genuinely terrifying. Like, these rides scare me.
The tragedy shook the entire country and many of the park's guests, with Dreamworld closing for a few weeks. Shockingly, the attraction was found to have myriad mechanical failures and design flaws that had already caused numerous dangerous breakdowns, landing the park a hefty fine and the eventual permanent closure of the ride itself.
Well, that's good that the park decided to close down the ride. Also, I do want to add, I seem like such a wimp in this video, but it's very unlikely for you to get injured in a roller coaster. There's probably a bigger possibility of you going out and getting hit by a car, but I think we've all got a low-key fear of them because like you hear about them and you hear about stories.
Sydney Ghost Train, Luna Park, Sydney. Luna Park in Sydney, Australia became the home of Australia's deadliest theme park attraction in 1979 when the park's ghost train burned to the ground late one evening. The fire left people trapped inside the ride and 7 people lost their lives. As the ride was totally destroyed, there was no risk of it reopening.
I mean, first of all, did you see the opening of that ride? That was terrifying. Imagine going into a ride with a big face like that. And yet again, it's the fact that people get trapped. Like, that freaks me out. I would be like, oh, I don't even know. I can't say. That was in 1970. Isn't it crazy how that was 50 years ago? I think then kids were quite young, probably like 8 or something like that. How old would they have been now? Like nearly 60.
But the disaster horrified Australia, and to this day, survivors and witnesses are campaigning for a full investigation into the fire. It's still not known how the fire started, though some have speculated arson, and many have claimed that the cops did not do their due diligence at the time, and might have even been corrupt.
Former senior cops say crime boss Abe Saffron was responsible.
Oh my god, so apparently the police are corrupted as well. Wow, that is a tragedy. I don't know what would have happened. Like, it could have been like a spark if it was a ghost train. Like, was it metal or was it wood? I think it was wood because like it completely burnt down. But like, that's what's scary about wood roller coasters and stuff like that. Like, it is wood, so it can burn very easily. Metal can burn, but like it won't burn as quickly and as easily as wood.
The Tidal Wave Pool, also known as the Grave Pool, Action Park. The most infamous theme park in American history is, of course, Action Park, which operated in New Jersey for most of the 1980s. It was famous for its non-existent health and safety rules and the high danger of its its attractions.
Okay, well that just isn't good whatsoever. The no safety rules, like that is a nightmare waiting to happen. I won't lie, there is one water park ride that I would go on. It's not really like a ride, it's more like a pool thing. Basically, you guys know that I love tsunamis. I think they're like so interesting. In some places, there's like a tsunami pool thing. Basically, they make fake waves and it's like tsunamis coming in. I would absolutely go on that if I'm ever near a place that has that. You can guarantee your backside that I'm gonna be getting in. But any other ride, no.
Though the Cannonball Loop is Action Park's most notorious ride, it wasn't operational long enough to cause any deaths. The tidal wave pool, on the other hand, caused at least 2.
And I'm pretty sure that's the one that I really like. Great, I'm gonna be terrified of it now.
But was also so dangerous that 12 lifeguards needed to be there at all times to rescue people non-stop.
I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, whenever it was on in the place that I used to go to, there was always lifeguards all around. Like, they're always staring. That would be so cool to have that job. Do you reckon they're, like, ever judging people and they're like, oh my god, look at him, he looks awful?
Shockingly, the wave pool is still functional as part of Action Park's replacement, Mountain Creek. But it's been so heavily modified to make it safer, it is not the same.
I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, the OG one probably had, like, 50-foot waves. Nowadays, you probably get ones that make kind of small waves, but, like, not gigantic waves. But either way, it's fun.
Big Dipper, Battersea Park, the worst theme park accident to ever occur in the UK. 5 children lost their lives in a grisly crash on this roller coaster back in 1972.
1972, yet again, how many years ago was that? That was 50 years. Isn't it crazy how, like, the people that witnessed it are gonna be, like, kind of close to death? Like, they're gonna be so much older.
The Big Dipper was a wooden roller coaster and had already suffered a fire in 1970.
Yet again, it's a wooden roller coaster's never getting one that's wooden. I'm telling you, it's gonna burn to the ground.
Though the ride survived and nobody was harmed. While the roller coaster train was making its way up the first incline, the chain malfunctioned and the train went backward where it derailed. As well as the 5 deaths, there were dozens of injuries, not to mention the trauma of the survivors and families of the victims.
Exactly, like, even if you didn't die, like, imagine the trauma you'd have to go through remembering that. You're literally zooming backwards in a roller coaster? Absolutely not.
The tragedy, which may be the worst roller coaster accident in history, led to the ride being immediately shut down and quickly dismantled.
Good, we need to get rid of them ones because they are awful. Anyways, guys, that's some amusement park rides that were banned. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, press the big red subscribe button, and yes, I'll see you all in my next video.